April 2012 Care for Cows in Vrindavana CFC Trustees Kurmarupa Dasa Hansarupa Dasa Vraja Mohan Dasa Haivalabha Dasa Radha Govinda Dasa Amit Dulani Patrons Mahanahai Swami Maharaja CFC Staff Kesi Nisadana Dasa Braja Gopal Dasa, Switzerland, Puri Maharaja Rasamandala Dasi Radhapati Dasa Syam Hari, Vijay, Ravi, Sukumar, Santosh, Tej Prakash, Ajit Editor Kurmarupa Dasa Contributing Editor, Rasamandala Dasi Care for Cows in Vrindavana is inspired by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Founder Acharya International Society for Krishna Consciousness Dear friends, Jayasri Guru, Jayasri Gopala, Jayasri Gomata. CA-refercows.org Care for Cows in Vrindavan is a charitable trust registered in India, USA, and Switzerland. The CFC staff Krishna counts his cows on a mela of gems. For each of the 4 colors of cows white, red, black, and yellow there are 25 subdivisions, making a total of 100 colors. Those colored like sandalwood pulp or having a head shaped like a mridanga create 8 further groups. To count these 108 groups of cows Krishna uses a mela of 108 jewel beads. Thus when Krishna calls out, "Hey Javali," a white cow, a whole group of white cows come forward, and when he calls Hamsi, Kandani, Ganga, Mutta and so on, the 24 other groups of white cows come. The reddish cows are called Aranai, Kunkuma, Sarasvati, etc., the blackish ones are called Syamala, Dumala, Yamuna, etc., and the yellowish ones are called Pita, Pinelgala, Haritalika, etc. Those in the group with Tilaka marks on their foreheads are called Citrata, Citratilaka, Durgatalaka, and Tiryaktilaka. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.35.18-21 and Purport. Meet Mani, our good friend and dedicated Gosevak Yudhisthira Gaur is directing the Sri Radha Mohan Ji Goshala in Chaumuha, 15 km from Vrindavan. Though he is an advocate by profession, his real passion in life is Goseva. He has taken upon himself to attend to all cows who are injured on the Delhi-Agra highway between Chatta and Vrindavan. Some months ago a cow was struck and killed on the highway by a reckless driver. Yudhisthira called upon Chandrasekhara Maharaja, a Gosevak who attends to the burial of cows killed on the highway. After placing the cow in samadhi they delivered her 1-year-old dwarf calf to Care for Cows. They named her Mohini, which means enchanting one, and indeed, she is enchanting. Since she is short, they also shortened her name by 1 syllable and call her Mani. Though Mani is 1 year old, she is shorter than our 1-week-old calves. She has a peaceful nature and has been sponsored by Jayadeva Gosvamaya Dasa, Miami. Last month Gauranga Priya Devi Dasi did something totally out of character according to her husband Rohini Sudha Dasa. Normally a reserved and self-effacing devotee of their lordships Sri Sri Krishna Balaram who is not at all prone to spontaneous outbursts, Gauranga Priya shocked even herself, what to speak of her husband when she leapt into action unaided by him. What caused her to act without consideration of herself? The cries of a distressed calf. After returning home from the Krishna Balaram Mandir's morning program, Gauranga Priya began to prepare for the daily worship of Krishna Balaram and their cowherd friends Sudama and Sridhama. But as she began to organize for their worship she heard the plaintive calls of a calf crying outside her window and felt the need to investigate what was wrong. Originally thinking that somehow the neighboring Goshala had forgotten to let the calf back inside, she decided to let them know and so relieve his suffering. However, when she approached them they denied ownership, saying that the bull calf I carry what they lack. By Rasamandala Devi Rohini Sudha Dasa, right, and Gauranga Priya Dasi, left, at home in Vrindavan was from another dairy. Gauranga Priya felt such compassion for the distraught calf. She got some milk and returned only to be told that the calf didn't like milk, only chapatis, an obvious admittance that the baby bull was from their Goshala, otherwise how do they know his likes and dislikes? When the baby bull continued to wail and his mother could clearly be heard calling pitifully in response from inside the Goshala, it became totally apparent that this had been his home. As Gauranga Priya watched in disbelief she saw the Gwalas trying to frighten him off, as now he was becoming an embarrassment to them due to the interest being taken. The truth is that this young calf had served his purpose and was no longer required. Unfortunately, due to the lack of pasturing grounds and the so-called advancement of technology, this practice of kicking out the calves, especially bulls, has become the normal state of affairs in India. Expensive nuts and bolts have replaced healthy, sustainable, inexpensive bullock power, making the distraught young bulls redundant in the artificial modern world. The mother had gone dry and now her calf was nothing more than an unwelcome expense. Accordingly, he was turned out into the streets to join the many abandoned animals who scourge for anything edible amongst the copious rubbish which is usually discarded in plastic bags with all kinds of household waste as well as sharp articles like razor blades. As would be expected, most of the street animals become ill from eating such disgusting and dangerous things. Gauranga Priya soon realized that these koalas were not going to accept responsibility, thus she decided to seek assistance of people who did care. Acting with determination, she waved down a three-wheeler milk van on the Sunrook Road and caught a ride to Kiki Nagla, 4 kilometers away. When she arrived at Care for Cows, she told Kessi, the Goshala manager, of her predicament, and he said if she could arrange to get the calf there, CFC would provide him with the love and protection he required. Unfortunately, CFC is without a vehicle to assist in transporting cows/bulls. Anyone wanting to donate a vehicle, please contact Kurmarupa or Kessi Nisudana. The cows will bless you 1,000/1,000,000-fold. Already acting as a lady on a mission, Gauranga Priya, filled with buckets of determination, started walking back along Sunrook Road from Kiki Nagla to her home, looking out for any likely suitable vehicle. No one was on the road at this time, but in the distance she saw a farmer driving his tractor. Frantically she called out to him using sign language plus a few Hindi words and managed to convince him to take her back to find the calf. While en route, Rohini Sudha called to tell his wife that the calf was no longer there. Not to be deterred, especially after getting this far and actually having found a kind farmer with a tractor and trolley, she continued. Fortunately, by the time they arrived at their destination, the calf had returned. She ordered the farmer to load the calf onto his trolley. Then, to everyone's surprise, the koalas who had abandoned the calf appeared and happily lifted the baby bull onto the farmer's trolley. Then even supplied some rope and cloth to tie up his legs to stop him from jumping off. When the calf was secured, the driver told Gauranga Priya to hold the calf by the ears to keep him calm as he proceeded to drive the tractor away. As they were traveling along, a mysterious young boy jumped in and helped her keep the baby bull peaceful. Approaching Kiki Nagla, the farmer suddenly stopped and gazed over his shoulder into the distance. Gauranga Priya strained to see what had prompted this unexpected action. Then she saw them. A herd of wild nilgai, antelope, came into focus, gracefully galloping across the road in front of them and disappeared into the fields on their left. Oh, what an auspicious omen, she thought. When the road was clear, they continued on their journey. Upon arriving at Care for Cows, Kessi greeted her by saying, "Okay, now you can give him a name," to which she immediately replied, "Sridhama." One might ask from where Gauranga Priya's intense concern for Krishna's cows came from. What caused this normally meek and mild devotee to transgress her nature and exhibit fearlessness? Gauranga Priya will reply, "In 2007 we saw a video produced by Care for Cows which intensified our attraction to the pastimes of Krishna Balaram, their cowherd boyfriends and their much-loved cows." On Nityananda's appearance day 2007, Gauranga Priya and Rohini Sudha began sponsoring 2 of the residents at CFC. One of those gentle injured animals which they adopted was Radhika, the much-loved nilgai who had been rescued by CFC. She passed away peacefully last month. The funds which they regularly paid for Radhika they asked to be transferred to little Sridhama. Over the years, Rohini Sudha and Gauranga Priya inherited Gauranitai and Radhagopinath deities, along with Giri Govardhana and many Salagram Shilas. There was an amazing scene on the CFC video of cows running and dancing, and in Gauranga Priya's heart she could see Krishna and Balaram laughing and playing within the midst of this joyful scene. It was then that Gauranga Priya developed an intense desire to have Krishna Balaram come to her home where she could worship them nicely. Once Gauranga Priya received the Krishna Balaram deities, she commissioned a beautiful painting to use as a backdrop for the exquisite Lord's altar. Then, not yet content with sponsoring cows and looking after Krishna Balaram, she decided that they needed some of the cowherd boys in their home also. When Sridhama and Sudama arrived in a box from Jaipur marked Sri cowherds, she opened it with delight. Now the playful figures of Sridhama and Sudama accompany Krishna Balaram along with all the other Sudama Balaram deities in receiving so much love and devotion from these humble devotees. Gauranga Priya's intense desire to please Krishna and Balaram by selflessly saving one of their cows and sponsoring it for life caused Krishna to empower her to be able to do something which she did not think possible. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Bhagavad Gita 9.22 Krishna Sridhama Vrindavan pilgrimage. More than a year ago we received a request from Nicole Sopko, right, a yoga teacher from Chicago, to help her organize a pilgrimage to Vrindavan. Her careful planning and coordination with Jaya Devi of the Jiva Institute fructified this month when she and 8 Vejan yogis arrived for a 10-day pilgrimage. The group visited the major temples in Vrindavan and daily visited several holy places associated with Krishna's pastimes. Many attended evening classes on the pastimes of Lord Krishna at the Jiva Institute given by Satyanarayana Dasa Babaji. The group also spent a few hours at care for cows, brushing and interacting with many of our residents. It was joyful. The abandoned cows of Vrindavan pray they visit more frequently and in greater numbers. A Change of Heart. An interview with Alvaro Munera by Tony L. Querol. A bull named Terciopelo Velvet gored the Colombian bullfighter Alvaro Munera, aka El Pilarico, in 1984, confining him to a wheelchair for life. Munera was 18 years old back then. His best friend, El Yio, was gored to death months later, and the manager of both bullfighters committed suicide 3 years after that. Munera became a hardcore animal rights defender and nothing less than the Antichrist for Toromachi bullfighting aficionados. He currently works in the council of the city of Medellin, using his position to defend the rights of disabled people and to promote anti-bullfighting campaigns. How did you decide to be a bullfighter? Alvaro Munera: I was born in Medellin, where my dad had taken me to see bullfights since I was 4 years old. The atmosphere at home was totally pro-Torino. Torino is the Spanish adjective for everything relating to bullfighting culture. We didn't talk about football or any other thing, it was just bulls. Bullfighting was the center of the world for my dad. Since I grew up immersed in this Torino atmosphere, it was logical that at the age of 12, I decided to be a bullfighter. I started my career and 5 years later I became successful at the Medellin Fair. This was when Tomas Redondo, who was the manager of El Yio, agreed to be my manager too. He took me to Spain. I fought 22 times in Spain until on September 22 of 1984, I was caught by a bull. It gored me in the left leg and tossed me in the air. This resulted in a spinal cord injury and cranial trauma. The diagnosis was conclusive: I would never walk again. 4 months later I flew to the US to start physical rehab, and I seized the opportunity to go to college. The US is a totally anti-Torino country, and due to my former profession I felt like a criminal. I became an animal rights defender. Since then I've never stopped fighting for every living being's right not to be tortured. I hope I will continue to do so until the very last day of my life. Did you ever think of quitting bullfighting before El Pilarico that bull confined you to a wheelchair? Yes, there were several critical moments. Once I killed a pregnant heifer and saw how the fetus was extracted from her womb. The scene was so terrible that I puked and started to cry. I wanted to quit right there, but my manager gave me a pat on my back and said I shouldn't worry, that I was going to be an important bullfighting figure and scenes like that were a normal thing to see in this profession. I'm sorry to say that I missed that first opportunity to stop. I was 14 and didn't have enough common sense. Some time later, in an indoor fight, I had to stick my sword in 5 or 6 times to kill a bull. The poor animal, his entrails pouring out, still refused to die. He struggled with all his strength until the last breath. This caused a very strong impression on me, and yet again I decided it wasn't the life for me. But my travel to Spain was already arranged, so I crossed the Atlantic. Then came the third chance, the definitive one. It was like God thought, if this guy doesn't want to listen to reason, he'll have to learn the hard way. And of course I learned. Is there a lot of regret that you let it get to the point where you became paralyzed? I think it was a beautiful experience because it made me a better human being. After convalescence and rehabilitation, I started working toward the goal of amending my crimes. Many animal rights defenders applauded your decision, but many others say they can't forgive you. They even call you mass murderer to this day. There are people who think that I'm just resentful for the accident. That's absurd. I've rebuilt my life and dedicated it to helping hundreds of disabled people get ahead, in addition to fighting for animal rights. On top of that, I don't know of any resentful person defending his victimizer. A bull confined me to a wheelchair and another one killed my best friend. I should reasonably be the last person on earth to care about bulls. But as for the people who cannot forgive me for what I did to so many bulls, I have to say that I understand them and agree, to some extent. My only hope is to have a long life so that I can amend my many crimes. I wish to have the pardon of God. If He doesn't pardon me, He has good reasons not to do so. Chicolin, another repentant bullfighter, claims to have seen bulls weeping. He says that he cannot kill even a fly nowadays. I take my hat off to that man. He's a real hero who learned his lesson through reason and thinking. Are you in touch with any other repentant bullfighters? Truth be told, I don't know if there are more repentant bullfighters. What is indeed known is that there are more and more ex-bullfighting aficionados every day. These are people who realized how macabre the show they were supporting really is, and so they stopped going to the bull rings. Sometimes they tell me their personal experiences and thank me for the articles I write. What was the decisive factor that made you an animal rights defender? When I went to the US, where I had to face an anti-taurine society that cannot conceive how another society can allow the torture and murder of animals. It was my fellow students, the doctors, nurses, the other physically disabled people, my friends, my North American girlfriend, and the aunt of one of my friends, who said I deserved what happened to me. Their arguments were so solid that I had to accept that it was me who was wrong and that the 99% of the human race who are firmly against this sad and cruel form of entertainment were totally right. Many times the whole of the society is not to blame for the decisions of their governments. Proof of this is that most people in Spain and Colombia are genuinely anti-bullfighting. Unfortunately, there's a minority of torturers in each government supporting these savage practices. If the people of both countries are against bullfighting, why do bullfights still exist? Well, I believe that bullfighting eventually will disappear if it doesn't remove its elements of torture and death. There's a generational shift in values, and most well-educated young people are against cruel traditions. In your articles you've associated tauromachi with a lack of culture and sophistication on the part of its aficionados. Isn't this a bit simplistic? How do you explain that intelligent people like Ernest Hemingway, Orson Welles, John Huston, and Pablo Picasso were into bullfighting? Look, to be a talented person doesn't make you more human, more sensible, or more sensitive. There are lots of examples of murderers with a high IQ. But only those who have a sense of solidarity with other living beings are on their way to becoming better people. Those who consider the torture and death of an innocent animal a source of fun or inspiration are mean-spirited, despicable people. Never mind if they paint beautiful pictures, write wonderful books, or film great movies. A quill can be used to write with ink or blood, and many terrorists and drug dealers of the 21st century have university diplomas hanging on the wall. The virtues of the spirit, that's what really counts in God's eyes. If one confesses, it is hoped, that one is forgiven. I felt like the worst shit on earth. The real moment of truth there is a single moment, and when you see it, you can never go back. If you go back, it means you never saw it. When ignorance fades away, the soul comes to the fore. Very little of the great cruelty shown by men can really be attributed to cruel instinct. Most of it comes from thoughtlessness or inherited habit. The roots of cruelty, therefore, are not so much strong as widespread. But the time will come when inhumanity protected by custom and thoughtlessness will succumb before humanity championed by thought. Let us work that this time may come. A man is ethical only when life is sacred to him, that of animals as well as that of his fellow man, and when he devotes himself helpfully to all life that is in need of help. Dr. Albert Schweitzer, physician, missionary, theologian and Nobel laureate for Peace 1952. Suddenly, I looked at the bull. He had this innocence that all animals have in their eyes, and he looked at me with this pleading. Deep down inside me there was a cry for justice. I describe it as being like a prayer. I don't know why I was forced to leave my mother. One day we were peacefully together and then I was thrown in the streets. I was wandering alone, slowly becoming weak and disheartened when a thoughtless driver hit me and left me badly injured. On the side of the road I sat hoping that somehow or other my mother would find me. She never did. While I was crying for my dear mother, a caring soul appeared on a bullock cart and brought me to care for cows. Never in my life have I known such kindness from humans. I have a carer who is always giving me lots of hugs and kisses while calling me sweet little boy. Practically all day she sits with me gently massaging my legs and back. But unfortunately, try as she might to strengthen my body, after 2 months I still can't get my legs to hold me up. I was taken to Madurai Veterinary University Hospital where a group of student doctors and their vet professor probed my body to see if I had any breaks anywhere, then they put me under this big X-ray machine and took photos. The diagnosis was that little Bhakta by Rasamandala Devi, I didn't have any broken bones. They prescribed vitamin injections to loosen up my contracted muscles, increase my vitality and help the healing process. Slowly the nasty wounds on my legs are getting better from the medicine and all that Ayurvedic cream smeared on my injuries every day. But try as I might, I can't stand up and my body is getting weaker due to lack of mobility. It seems that I have some nerve damage and muscular atrophy. I hear my carer cry when she tries to support me in a standing position after hours of gentle massage and physio. I want to make her feel better, so I look up at her with my big black eyes and say, "Thank you. Please don't cry, I feel so lucky to be with Krishna's caring devotees, please don't cry no matter whatever happens." I know she understands what I am trying to say because she always replies, "My dear sweet boy, Krishna really loves you. You are so dear to him. He may just want to take you back home soon to be with him eternally." And I feel very happy. Last week my carer introduced me to another lovely person who also sat with me for hours holding my head in her lap, stroking my pains away. This lady decided then and there that she wanted to sponsor me. I wanted to tell her that I may not be here for very much longer, but that I feel so fortunate knowing that whether I get well or leave my body, I could be in no better place than here at Care for Cows in Krishna's holy Dhamma, Vrindavan, in the arms of loving devotees. Ed. This young bull never recovered but left his body peacefully on March 8, 2012 on the occasion of Gaura Purnima and was buried on our premises. Calves galore. 9 months ago, owing to negligence, 20 of our cows were bred unexpectedly. A new record for Care for Cows. Anyway, the Goshala is sure full of life. People are coming from all over to see them. What follows is a brief introduction to each one. Above left is Anjali's first calf, who is named Nanda Maharaja and sponsored by Konam Murali. Left is Yahanavi's first calf. We thought Yahanavi was sterile as she is 10 years old and never gone into heat, or so we thought. Her calf is named Krishna Priya, sponsored by Sri Radhika Dasi. Above is Gauri Priya's very peaceful second calf. She has been named Shakambari and is sponsored by Apuva. Below is Akay Dasi's third calf named Kampa, sponsored by Natalia Borsakova. Above left is Kisori's third calf, who is sponsored by Thad and Francis. Above right is Lajasila's third calf at 1 hour old. Left is Mohini's fifth calf, who is named Manika and is sponsored by Shivam Rajar. Right is Ranjani's third calf named Masha, sponsored by Lila Raza and Valriva. Above is Nandini's first calf, who is named Arjuna and is sponsored by Hamlesh Moda. Above right is Padmanandini's fourth calf, who is featured in this month's Prot Rate. Right is Sakha's second son named Sadama, sponsored by Pranj Patel. Far right is Rani's calf named Raghava. The second calf of Rukmani, the first calf of Mikala named Lalita sponsored by Pimenova Elena and Asiya, the third calf of Taithi named Gavriya Shah sponsored by Olga Tereshko, the first calf of Vrinda named Pralada sponsored by Dr. Kesava. Our female Nilgai named Subhadra was also sponsored by Pranj Patel, Asiadat Madasa Aditi Sathai, Alena Kochatkova, Alena Pimenova, Alina Yershova, Aliya Kaziyeva, Amit Goswami, Amrat Lal Vidya, Anil Kumar, Ankit Anonymous, Anuradha Kavlamudi, Anashia Mohan Apur Ariel. Telford Artem Polygalan Ashta Murugesan Avinash Biravala Karl and Stella Hersig CFG Studio Chandrika Pasupati Christian Katzner Christopher Zachowski Demir Kvitkovic Danish Dasa Daniel Kolobev Dasha Deborah Klein Deepak Handa Dennis Kolobov Derek Carol Devender Kumar Dina Sarana Dasa Doyle Govinda Dasa Drive Kesava Elena and Lilia Elena Emalenko Elena Nikiforov Elia Tamal Emily Jaminyan Gara Hari and Radhika Dasi Gaur Anga Priya Dasi Ham Lesh Moda Heidi Chanan Jasa Saisuda Dasa Janaki Romano Jayadeva Gosvamaya Dasa Jenny Jensen Johan Wallander Jurgen Jensen Julaja Ruch Jova Kamala Meltsak Kantalal Shivlal Kopaliv Dmitry Katyayani and Bhagavat Gita Kavita Shah Kitri Waterman Konam Murali Krishna Priya Dasi Krishna Tulsi Dasi Lila Razal Riva Lilia Tonava Laya Babikova Madhava Priya Dasi Madhavi Guntupali Mandapa and Jagat Priya Marina Gritse Mark Lee Mary L. Valerio Mary Louise Valerio Meenakshi Sundars Thuraman Mikhail Suvara Milan Tadalovic Mohan Prabhu Naidu Nalini Gagar Natalia Barsukova Natalia Jung Nayan Rupar Eli Anil Narayan Niraj Gwalin Arav Patel Oksana Barba Oksana Klania Sheena Olga Mak. Make house stay in front of me, make house stay behind me, make house stay on both sides of me. May I always reside in the midst of cows. Hari Bhakta Vilas 16.252. The cows send their heartfelt thanks to those who assisted during March 2012. Thank you from the cows Olga Tereshko Om Raj Oksana Marcelino Panthea McKnight Paolo Musu Param Sparsha Dasa Pranj Patel Pure Heart Radhapati Dasa Rahul Sharma Ramabhadra Dasa Rancher Dasa Razmandela Dasi Ravi Gopal Rohini Sudha Dasa Saksaitananda Dasa Sanjeev Keswani Shyam Kaiser and Indure Kar Sivam Rajar Smolsk Olga Shinko Sradar Rajkumar Sredharan Prashanthan Sri Govinda and Mandiram Mani Sri Radhika Dasi Srinivas Bhat Srinivasan Ganesan Swada Ajanovic Sukanya Venugopal Suman Lada Sani Svetlana Gritse Tusta Krishna and Vrinda Sundari Tracy Molina Uday Kiran Gopalam Valentina Maziliuk Venkata Venkateswaran Venkatesh Raghavan Vijay Sharma Vikas Shah Vladimir Vyasapita Dasa Yajanavakaya Dasa Yuval Niv